Alright everybody, this is Eternal Blade here and welcome back to section 3 of Concept to Creation. Today we're going to be modeling the legs for the various counters in this scene, so it should be a little fun using some splines and some magic, and we're going to see if we can make it happen. Alright, so let's get started. First I'm going to take this design into Photoshop, so just go to Photoshop or GIMP or whatever you want to use and just sort of open up the reference. What I want to do is just crop out a little area here that just has the band or the table leg in it. Okay, there we go. Press enter, file, save as, and you just call this table leg. JPEG is fine. Okay, go to 3ds Max now, and here's our scene. Hide everything except for one of these little legs here and go into perspective mode. Okay, now all we can do is make a plane over here in our front view. Right, give it 1 and 1, and then using the reference image you just created, we're going to assign it as a background image. So I'm just opening mine up over here. References, and here it is, table leg. So press F3 so we can see here and go to material. We're just going to create a new material here real quick, just a view material. Go to diffuse map, standard bitmap, and I'm going to go into references, table leg. Okay, there we go. And then simply assign it to the plane and click the show material in the viewport button, and it'll appear over there. Alright, next what we want to do is you can press M to close that. I'm checking the, I should be checking the, there we go, checking the size. So ours is 192 by 260. So just do 192 by 260. Actually, other way around, 260 by 192. This way our image isn't stretched. Press R and Alt W to expand our viewport here, and just scale it down to where it sort of matches. Now, I think we just want the top part here. Okay, and there we go. So, just going to bring this kind of in front there. Not in front, but just want to sort of watch it. I'm trying to think of the best way to do this, and I think it's just going to be with polygon modeling actually. So just stay with your thing, convert it to an editable poly, and bring it up, and just try to match. We're going to try to match just one side, and actually change this to shaded so it doesn't bother us too much. Okay, and then we can go in here and just start playing around with it. So we're going to pretty much want to use in the polygon mode here, it's going to be bevel. So just kind of bevel it down a bit. Okay, I'm sort of attempting to match the perspective over here. Just gonna move it in a little bit. There we go, just so we can kind of match what's going on. So bevel it out just a little bit, and down a little more, and down a little more, and bring it out. Okay, and extend. Oops, make sure you click. There we go. And we're going to go in a little bit. Okay, bring it down. And we're going to have sort of a step. So come out, come down one, and then come out, and down a couple, a little bit outward. Down one more time. And let's come out a bit. Okay, now we can kind of sort of curve it out slowly. We're going to have to adjust some of these, but for the most part it'll be good. I'm actually going to adjust this one right here. R and scale it out just a tad. Give it more of a bulbous shape. Okay, and a little bit harder here to follow because the perspective is closing in on us, but we're going to see if we can do it. So make it small-ish. Bring it out. Okay. And looks like we've got a few more steps here, so let's just step it. Kind of scale that one out. There's about good. Go to your bevel, click, and step, and step. And one last big thing. And then to the ground. Alright, there we go. Now we can delete our reference image there. Unhide all. And let's go and place this in our scene, assuming we can ever find it. Ah, there it is. It's actually a pretty good placement, believe it or not. Go to camera. And so now you can see we're sort of well, sort of small, which isn't a bad thing. So we can just sort of, oops, effect pivot only, centered object. There we go, and we can just stretch it out a little bit. At least we can try. Doesn't have to go too much. Alright, press W and bring it down to the table level here, which is the brown line. Alright, and check to see if we're close to the floor. And we are somewhat close, so let's sort of adjust these lines until we get where we want to be. Maybe make this a little longer. I'm also looking at the reference image to my left and trying to watch it. So let's see here. It's not bad. I don't know. Well, I almost wonder if their table is lower. Because based on the perspective that I modeled, their table seems to be a bit lower than mine, but it's not possible because all the rest of my perspective lines up. Well, maybe it is possible. Think about this. Could be, but it wouldn't be much lower. So we're going to actually sort of lower this just a bit. Okay, right to about there. And lower this just so it matches. Now we can click our table leg here, lower it, and then it looks like our table leg should be good to go. Yeah, that looks almost there. Trying to see where the floor is here. So that's the floor right there. Kind of increase some of those. And again, we're not going to see much of this, so we shouldn't have to worry too much. Okay, so I'm going to say that's pretty good for that. Alright, so now that we've got our table leg finished here, let's go ahead and UVW map it before we head off into ZBrush. So you can use a UVW map and then change it to box and then go to UVW map over here, unwrap UVW, and go into your polygon selection, open our editor here, and let's try a few different things here. We're going to Control A flatten mapping and see what it gets us, which is not bad, but not quite what we want. Normal mapping is really close to what we want. So we're almost there. So let's deselect this side. Unfold mapping, okay. No. Normal mapping. Alright, so we're just going to do this one at a time, I guess. Apparently it doesn't want to let us do it all at once. So I wonder which side is this. This must be an unknown side. There it is. Anyway, so we're just going to go in here and kind of click on all the edges all the way up on one of these. Okay. There we go. And mapping, unfold mapping, okay. And there's our first one. Next, let's rotate our view around here and do it over here. So, grab all these. Alright. There we go. Mapping, normal mapping, okay. Now we have this one. Let's rotate it around a bit, like so. Alright, and maybe scale it just a bit. Actually, unfold mapping. There we go. So just kind of align it right there. Close. Alright, next let's go on to this edge. And again, we're just going to select all the little edges here. Sometimes the floor does apparently get in the way though. If that's the case, just get rid of it with F3. Alright. There we go. So mapping, unfold mapping. Okay. And there we go. And now we've got one more to do, which is this side. Okay. And just climb your way right up it. Okay, perfect. Mapping, unfold, okay. Move that one over to here. And our top and our bottom don't matter so much, but mapping, unfold mapping, okay. We're just gonna scale these puppies down and sort of place them here and here. Now they got their own little space. Alright, and we should be good to go. I'm actually going to select all these one more time and scale them down just a bit, just so they're inside the boxes. Okay, there we go. So next, we're ready for export. So go to export, export selected, and you're going to want to export your table, export it as tableleg.obj. Save. I'm going to replace mine and use ZBrush. Export. Done, and then let's go over to ZBrush. Alright, now that we're in ZBrush, you want to go to Import and then navigate to your project files. So we go December Challenge, exports, table leg, okay. So drag it out in here and hold Shift to make sure it's stationary. Go to your edit mode, and I'm going to use two brushes that I showed in the previous video, which is the Woodbin video. They're going to be the OBS crack brush and the old style surface noise. So if you watch the video before this, I'll show you how to get it in the ZBrush section right as I begin. So we're going to go to geometry here, turn off SMT, and divide it a couple times till we got about 1,000,000 polygons. And then I'm going to take the same techniques that I did in the last video. I'm going to use the trim dynamic brush on all the edges, or most of them, to get them flat. I'm going to go in with the obs crack brush and sculpt in some wood detail. I'm going to finish it off with the old style surface noise brush. And once I do all that, I'm going to export the UVW map and bring it over to max and apply my material. So I'm going to speed up time here since those exact same steps are covered in the previous video, but feel free to watch as I continue on, and then we'll hop back into max and finish it off. Alright, I'll see you in a bit. Now that we've finished our modeling in ZBrush, we're back in 3ds Max here and going to apply the normal map. So get yourself your V-Ray material, go to the bump section, standard, or sorry, V-Ray, V-Ray normal map, and then drag one of these out, and bitmap, and your V-Ray table leg. There we go. And then you can just drag and drop this texture right onto the table leg. Okay, and hit show material in the viewport. And if your normal map doesn't show up, what you got to do is go to View, Set Material in Viewport As, Realistic Material with Maps, and then it'll kind of even out for you. And Alt W to bring it up. You'll see that. Oops, redo that. There you go. You'll see that our entire normal map is looking good and it's all displaying correctly. So in your V-Ray material, what you're going to want to do is go to your maps option, bump, and just change that to 100. That'll give us more of a bumpier material. Alright, now since we already rendered out the UVW template, let's drop right over to Photoshop, go to Open, and December Challenges, Textures, Table Leg, UVW. Actually, we didn't render out the UVW template. So let's go do that now. So open UVW editor, tools, render UVW the template, render the template out. It'll appear in a different window and you can save that out. And then once you save it out, then you can open it up in Photoshop. Okay. And we're actually going to close this one, no. And Photoshop again. Photoshop, file, open, and there we go. And let's just put a black layer beneath it so you can see what we're doing. There we go. Now what we want to do is go to File and Import. Actually, we'll just do it this way. Go to your reference image here of the table. And you're going to want to drag in your main reference image. Okay. And hit enter. And go to your color picker here and just pick a light area just to get that sort of brown color. Go to your brush and bring it on the layer above here. And you can hide this now. We're just going to want to paint in, sort of the entirety of this. Bring the opacity down just a bit so we can see what we're doing. Okay, and now that we did that, we're going to want to sort of darken up the edges if we can. So go to the burn tool here, brush, and we're just going to go ahead and outline each of these little outside edges with the burn brush. So actually, let's do this on a new layer. It would be the easiest and best thing to do. So, there we go. Actually, can we do this on a new layer? Maybe we can't do that on a new layer. Nope, I guess we gotta be on this layer, so just sort of do it on this layer, all the way along the edges here. Alright. Doesn't have to be too heavy, just enough to outline it. Okay, and I'm doing this with a little tablet. You can do it with a mouse. It just takes a little while longer and you need a little more patience. Alright, so kind of each of those big marks, we're just going to kind of put a line going across as well. Okay, and then repeat the process for the other 4. Doesn't have to be anything too fancy. I mean, you're just kind of putting a big black line in, just to give the texture a little extra something. Okay, and we did forget something actually on the, I don't know, maybe I forgot it. I can't remember. I think I need to add an additional map. Not a map, but a noise thing on our table leg. But we'll see in a sec here. Pretty sure I'm going to need to add it, because once I finished my sculpt there, I was so excited because it was the 3rd time I've done it. Each time I had a different problem. The first time I didn't UVW map the entirety of the object. I only did half of it, thinking, oh, it'd mirror itself. But apparently that is not true. It does not mirror itself just magically. Even though I thought the UVs were stacked. Oops. So just something to be aware of. Okay, and last one here. Okay, sort of bring it down. You can you don't have to use the burn tool for this. You can also use just a black brush and sort of find a way to make it work. Okay, coming in. There we go. And this one. A little bit there. A little bit there. Okay, there we go. So let's just hide that layer there. So now we just have this image here. File, save as, table leg. We're going to call this diffuse. Okay. So let's go back into Max here and go to your material editor. And in the diffuse section, standard bitmap and table leg diffuse. Collapse the layers. All right, and there we go. Now we'll have, if we close all this stuff, a nicely textured table leg. So if we go to our camera here, let's delete that and just press W. Actually, don't delete that just yet. Press W, shift drag this over. Okay, and then we can delete that. We'll rotate it sort of 180 degrees. Okay, go into our top view here. And let's take this, W, drag this one over here. And we're just going to place it right here. Get rid of that one. And drag a copy, oops, shift drag a copy over. Okay, press E, rotate 180 again. W, drag it into place. And delete. Camera. Alright, and now let's give it a quick render here with the render production button. Oops. So we're just going to show safe frame so we can see what we're looking at. And holy crap, did we mess up our perspective. Something fierce. I'm guessing it should be right about there. So render it out and see what we get. Alright, so here they are. They don't look too bad, but I do want to make one change. So what I want to do is, let's do a editable poly here. And then we're going to go to sort of these edges here. Control click, press R, and we're just going to extend that out just to make it a bit thicker. Okay, now we're just going to do it all four because I don't really feel like copying them. We should have made these as instances when we copied them. If you're just watching this now, I'm going to do it later, I would highly suggest doing that because it will save you this exact problem I am having now. Okay, there we go. And let me quickly jump over here and change these. Actually, I'm just going to copy this one over. Maybe it will be quicker in the end. Just copy, shift drag, make an instance this time, just save yourself some grief. Delete it and sort of position it. Delete this one, shift drag, there we go. And just rotate this one 180. Okay, boom, problem solved. Now the one thing I did notice is that our bump there isn't quite as big as I wanted it to be, so I'm going to turn the bump up to about 300. See if that gives us a bit darker image, and we're going to re-render it out here. Alright, so here's what we got. We have slightly darker results, but I still want to increase it a bit further. So what I'm going to do is go into our Photoshop file that we had with our textures. I'm going to go to File, and there should be a place button somewhere. Oh well. Let's go to our files over here. Go to Scene, or no, Textures. Not wood bin. Table leg. And we're going to actually drag the normal map onto this thing. There we go. Now we got the normal map. Press OK. And then on a new layer, above that, we're just going to get a brush. It's going to be a very dark, sort of brownish, almost black brush here. We're going to trace each and every one of these marks just to give it a bit more depth. Okay. I guess I'll let you watch while I fast forward through this. So I'll be back in a bit after I finish tracing all these on the brand new layer. Alright, so we finished kind of working on our texture here, which got a bunch of squiggly lines, and maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Don't actually know, but we're about to find out here. Max automatically updates the texture, so we're going to let it render. Alright, so here we are. You can see we have a much better defined texture now. You can see all the different areas and whatnot, and all the different wood grains now that we outlined it. Because again, we don't have to be very detailed here. This is more of a stylized piece. But at the same time, we can see that it still looks really good. You can just see the hint of those, just like in the reference image here. You can kind of just see them just barely. We might lighten it up a bit in the end with some additional lighting, but for now, I think that should do perfect. So I'm going to call that part a wrap, and I will see you next time.